What's the scariest experience you've ever had at a gas station or rest stop? Working at a gas station. This lady came in through the front door and said she was having a problem out at the pumps. She had clicked the lever that let the nozzle keep pumping gas, but then somehow managed to pull the nozzle out of her car's receptacle. Not knowing what to do, she walked to the store and told me about it. I thought she'd just spilled a little gas on the pad, but number. She had left the nozzle on the ground, spilling gallons of fuel onto the pad. By the time I got out there, it was a pool of flammable liquid. Holy shit. Shut down the pumps, evacuate the area, call the fire department. No ma'am, don't get into your car and drive away. Don't touch anything. The FD showed up and said wow. We've never seen anything this bad. Fortunately, the gas station didn't blow up. Took a few hours to clean up the mess. In the middle of an Arizona summer. In 100-degree heat. Gas station in Poway, California in 2009. I witnessed an attempted murder. I was sitting in my truck with the lights off late at night. I saw a teenager hit another teenager in the head with what looked like a chunk of rebar. Kid went down and the other kid ran away. Somebody called 911. Kid was unconscious and bleeding. Ambulance came for the kid. I gave a description to the cops. They found the kid in a garage a block away. I identified him from the back of the police cruiser while the cops had him pressed against the wall. I had to give a statement of what I witnessed to the juvenile court in San Diego. This is probably the reverse of what people expect to read here. It's not like it's a spooky, horrifying experience, just my scariest experience. Some friends and I wanted some snacks from gas station. I was sitting in the back right seat. So, my friend pulled up near the front and dropped me off in and out. So anyways, I grab all the snacks and come back out and enter back into the car, and while entering, I can't see my friends in the front. Anyways, I continue to enter the car and sit down, look to my left, and there's a little kid just sitting there staring at me. I was the stranger. I entered the exact same car where it dropped me off like 1 minute earlier, but it was not my friend's vehicle. All I could think is that some dad is about to explode on me. So, I quickly get out of the vehicle and spot my friends parked just ahead in a parking spot now, and quickly head over and recount what just happened. So, that may have been my scariest experience and that kid's scariest experience. 20 years ago, I worked at a marina gas dock. A guy comes in to get his boat filled. What no one knew was that the guy who had just finished fixing his boat hadn't properly reconnected up his gas lines. So as my co-worker was pumping gas into his boat, the gas isn't going into his fuel tank, but was instead flowing into his bilge. Then the bilge pump automatically kicked in to deal with the rising water level inside the boat. Had that pump sparked, the fireball would have burned us all to dust. Instead, it just created a bit of an ecological nightmare as all the gas that I'd pumped into the boat got pumped out into the lake. Was working at a chain gas station, and this guy walks in and comes to the counter with 4 very large alcoholic beverages. I can see he's already lit, and I started to talk to him a bit. I was hoping he was living around the block or something, but he calmly stated he was on his way somewhere that was easily 3 hours away. I thought to myself, oh number. You are not. I called the non-emergency police number and reported him as a drunk driver. They got him and he blew over 3 times the legal limit. I probably saved his life that night. I showed up to the court date and he took a plea deal. They threw the book at him too. I was scared because I had never actively tried to do something like that before, but I felt obligated to phone it in. I'm not sorry I did it either. I was parked at a rest stop in the middle of Texas, stretching my legs. There was a good amount of traffic right behind me on the highway and plenty of road noise. As I stepped towards the restrooms, I heard some horns honking. So, I glanced over my shoulder while walking and felt a rush of wind and the roar of a truck engine go past me. Traffic was stopping on the highway and an 18-wheeler lost its brakes and went through the rest stop parking lot and nearly took me and 4 cars out, but managed to avoid everything, except a dog poop station on his way through. If I wouldn't have slowed down to look over my shoulder, I would have been a smear on the asphalt. Working graveyard at a gas station. I had a couple guys try to rob me. I was taking out the trash at around 2 a.m. As soon as I walked out the back door with the trash, one guy slammed the automatically locking door shut behind me while another guy came around the dumpster right in front of me. The guy in front of me told me to give them my wallet or they would break my kneecaps. I had a permit to carry a handgun, but I left my cute little 380 under the counter because it was a normally quiet and safe feeling place at night. I ended up just kinda running around the corner back on camera, made it inside and grabbed my gun and the phone to call the police. I walked back outside before calling to see them running off across the parking lot. I called the police and they fought up with the guys. One of them got fired from the gas station just before I started working there. Since they were unarmed, I didn't have charges pressed and just had them banned from the property. When I was about 7 or so, I got really sick and ended up staying in the hospital for a day or so. When I finally started feeling, my dad was allowed to take me home, so he picked me up that night. It was probably just around midnight, and on the way home we stopped at a gas station. While I sat in the truck waiting for my dad to return, some guy opened the driver's side door and got in. I'm pretty sure he was about to steal the truck until he noticed me sitting there. He panicked and said something like, "Oh, I was just checking the time," then got out and left. About 2 minutes later my dad got back and life was good. For whatever reason I didn't mention what had happened to him until years later. But looking back, I could have easily been kidnapped or something, which is horrifying. Twice, I've had super bad vibes pulling into a gas station. A while ago, I had an early flight leaving at 6 a.m. So, I was driving to the off-airport parking and was very low on gas. I pulled into a gas station close to the airport around 4 a.m. The station was poorly lit, and I noticed there were 2 guys sitting outside drinking and a third guy came out, but I was the only one at the pumps. When the third guy started walking to my car, I realized how vulnerable I was. I drove away immediately without getting gas. Just last week, I was returning a rental car to an Enterprise location in Philadelphia and needed to top up the gas tank. The only gas station the Waze app would show us close by was a Getty. When we pulled up to the station, my eyes went wide. Every single pump was vandalized, broken glass all over the parking lot. All of the doors were shuttered except for one lone door and a weak open light. We drove right through without stopping and just returned the car without filling the tank. Was trying to pay for gas at the pump with a credit card. It said card declined, please see cashier. So, I tried a different card. That one also said card declined, see cashier. I didn't want to go in. So, I drove my car around to another pump there. I use a different card again to try to pay, and once again, it says card declined, see cashier. At this point I was annoyed, so I was like, maybe if they swipe it inside, it'll work. So, I went in. The cashier was like, finally you came in, you're so beautiful, what is your number? It completely creeped me out because I think he was purposely declining my card at the pump, so I'd have to go inside and see him. My wife and I were driving through Wyoming on our way to Riverton from Laramie. We were about an hour away and we find ourselves at a rest stop, alone. We use our respective restrooms and I personally got comfortable as I had to go number 2. My wife finished before me and decided to wait in the lobby of the rest area until I finished my business. She was soon joined by this large man that had been driving a semi-truck. According to her, he started to get really close and uncomfortably so, asking her very probing questions as to why she was alone. Luckily, as I flushed and he realized that they weren't alone, he exited the lobby towards the women's bathroom and my wife dashed towards me and the door. I don't know what his intentions were, but I am spooked whenever I remember that rest stop outside of Riverton. My family and I were on our way to Dallas. We stopped just outside of St. Louis to empty our tanks, and it was kinda sketchy, but I guess it didn't bother me too much, at least initially. I was finishing up and the stall door started shaking, like someone was trying to rip it open. Told them it was occupied. Kept shaking. I looked down and noticed that it was a man's set of feet. Kinda started panicking because I had gone into the bathroom alone. My family was waiting for me to finish up. Some random lady came in and yelled at the guy and he started cussing her out. Then he left. I think he thought I was someone else. It was very strange. And now, as a chronically single gal, I carry mace and a taser wherever I go. So, there's that. Bitter cold, dark Minnesota winter, gassing up at 5:30 a.m. Just barely awake. While I'm at the pump, I see a bundled up dude, hoodie pulled tight around his face, walk out of the gas station, right past my pump, avoids eye contact and heads down the street. No big deal, it is winter, right? I finish fueling up, pay at the pump. I head to the station to grab a snack and the door is locked. Lights on, I can see employees gathered in there, but they won't let me in. Suddenly it dawns on me. They just got robbed. At gunpoint. By the dude that had just walked by me a minute ago. Checked the news later that day. A robbery. If I had been 2 minutes earlier, I'd have been inside while it happened. Crazy world, I tell ya. Was probably 16 at the time. My friends and I were stopped at a 7-Eleven. As my friend was inside, I looked over at the car next to us. And saw a dude somewhat slapping this passed out girl in his passenger seat. He then got out of the driver's side all frantically and ran as fast as he could over to the passenger side, and then ripped open the door. The girl was completely passed out and slumped over. He was acting super weird and nervous, then started like moving her, I guess back into the seat. I had no idea what was going on, whether he kidnapped her and drugged her, they were doing drugs together, or what the deal was. We asked if what was going on and if we should call an ambulance, and he hesitated. He had no idea what to do, but you could tell he was super worried. I think he originally said no, but after seeing her you just can't walk away from that. We ended up calling it anyways. The 7-Eleven clerk came out and did the same. She ended up waking up in a couple minutes and the ambulance showed up a minute or two after that. I'm not sure what happened to them, but I really hope they're doing better.